everyone! For this assignment, I'm going to use 3 different readings from the course to develop and defend the following argument. Trophy hunting benefits society, the economy, and the ecosystem more than it harms them. Therefore, trophy hunting bans should be lifted. I know this topic is super controversial and has been around for years, but I really wanted to talk about it because prior to this class, I was in support of the bans placed on trophy hunting. It wasn't until I had a conversation with a friend and really started to brainstorm that my views shifted. So before I go over the readings, I know most of us are from Tennessee or living in Tennessee, so I want you to think about the animals that you see every day. Raccoons, I'm in Gatlinburg, so bears, coyotes, deer, and then I want you to think about the animals that you see dead on the road every day. I personally don't think twice about it. I'm driving down the road and I see a dead possum and I keep going. And then think about people in other countries, how they see giraffe and elephants and lions every day. Where my initial view started to change is when I started to wonder what my thoughts would be if I lived there every day. Would I still think that lions or giraffes, that they're these rare, like, extravagant creatures? And what do people in other countries think of bears or raccoons or possums? Do they think the same of our hunting traditions as we do the hunting that goes on there? So that being said, the first reading that I'm going to use to support my argument is McClellan's 4 Common Fallacies. A fallacy is essentially bad reasoning. 4 of the most common are ad hominems, straw man fallacy, false dilemma fallacy, and post hoc fallacy. The fallacy that I'm going to discuss is the ad hominem fallacy. This occurs when someone criticizes an argument by attacking or criticizing the person who made it. So in the case of trophy hunting, someone might attack a trophy hunter to support their claim. I used to do this. One of the claims that I made were that hunting safari animals fill the voids of insecurity. Committing this fallacy is bad reasoning and does not justify one argument over another. Therefore, it cannot the objection cannot be supported because it is bad reasoning. The second reading that I'm going to use is Sandel's Justice, What is the Right Thing to Do? And in this book, chapter 3, titled Do We Own Ourselves? Libertarianism. This chapter basically talks about libertarianism, which is the political or moral view that supports personal freedoms and capitalism. So a general argument for this is adults have the knowledge to know what they want. As long as no one is harmed, they should be allowed to pursue their desires. I think that the book used the example of prostitution. So prostitution should be legal because a prostitute knows what they're doing with their body, and as long as no one else is harmed, it's okay. No harm comes from it. A critique of this is that our decisions don't just impact us. So in this case, someone might say that animals are harmed. My response to that would be that the animals that are killed can cause harm as well. A better illustration of my response would be from an article from Conserve Energy Future. This article talks about how nations in Africa authorize conservation hunting. In this particular instance, a hunter from Texas paid $350,000 to kill a black rhino. it was the last black rhino, and that is where a bunch of controversy was created. The rhino was too old to breed and aggressively killing other rhinos. That is why the government allowed the killing of this animal. And actually, by killing it, the hunters contributed more to conservation than leaving it alive would have, due to all of the rhinos that this rhino was killing. Another response that I would say is that by ending the life of an animal who is throwing conservation efforts off, you're saving other animals. The third reading that I'm using is John Hardwick's Ownership, Possession, and Consumption on the Limits of Rational Consumption. In this article, Hardwick, he talks about the consumerist mindset, that more is better. He makes the proposition that we should possess something versus owning it. Owning something is essentially doing nothing for us or the environment. Somebody who is objecting my argument might say that trophy hunting is a form of ownership. I would argue that trophy hunting is actually a form of possession because it requires a time investment, develops skill, and is fulfilling to the hunter, economy, and conservation. If it were a product of ownership, there would be no benefit from it. It would be passive, and it is not. I think a lot of objection to my argument comes from the idea of ownership. So people believe that trophy hunters just want to hang something on their wall, but really there's a lot more to it. There's skill involved. There's benefit to multiple parties, including other animals, through conservation. So to close this, I would just say do your research and educate yourself, and your views may completely shift.